Hello, Alliance Academy International. My name is Jason Cheesegel, and I'm a missionary church planter out here in Papua New Guinea. Let me tell you a little bit about our country. Papua New Guinea is home to over 800 distinct, unique languages. That means there are thousands of tribes and cultures packed into this one country, many of whom speak their own unique language. The main food out here in Papua New Guinea is called sago. Sago is a paste that you can make from chopping up the trunk of a palm tree. What spiritual needs do our people here in Papua New Guinea have? Most of these unique tribes, these unique cultures, have never heard the name of Jesus before. No one ever before has gone into these new language groups and told them about who Jesus is. And many people can't because no one can speak their language. No one can communicate with them. So that's probably the largest spiritual need, is that someone has to go into these tribes and learn their language and tell them about Jesus. How is God's light shining out here in Oceania and in Papua New Guinea? Well, about 10 years ago, my family and I moved here to Papua New Guinea, moved into a tribal people group, and began to learn their language and their culture. We became friends with our tribe called Wabaku. We learned how to speak their language. When we learned their language, then we were able to share God's talk, the Creator's talk with them. We taught all the way from Genesis through to the book of Revelation, God's full story, and many people in Wabaku believed. We now have a small church of 87 believers who have been baptized, who know who Jesus is, who know what his death on the cross and his resurrection mean for them, and they're learning to follow Jesus' footprints, his footsteps, as they say, every day. There are many families like my family who have come to Papua New Guinea to share Jesus with these new tribal people groups who have never even heard his name before. That's how God's light is shining out here. His word, his gospel, is being spread all across the jungles of Papua New Guinea by people willing to go into some difficult places in order to share Jesus' love. Let me tell you a little story about a friend of mine named Wabo. For years and years, and since he was a child, Wabo was afraid to go to the jungle by himself. Wabo thought that if he ever went to the jungle by himself, the evil spirits that lived in the jungle would shoot him with an invisible arrow. And these invisible arrows would make him sick, make his family sick. These invisible arrows could stop him from shooting a pig when he went on a pig hunt, stop him from getting fish when he tried to go fishing, stop his garden from producing food when he planted food in his garden. So Wabo would never go out to the jungle by himself. But then Wabo heard about Jesus. When we taught through the Bible, he heard these stories about Jesus, a man who claimed to be the Creator's son. And when Jesus showed up, he could command the evil spirits, and the evil spirits listened to Jesus. They would run away from him. They were terrified of Jesus. Jesus could heal sicknesses. He could even bring people back from the dead. And the story that really captured Wabo's attention was one day when Jesus was sleeping on a boat, there was a big storm that came up. And all of the rest of the people in the boat were afraid, and they thought that they were going to die. But the Creator's Son, Jesus, stood up, and with just his voice, he said, "Hush, be still." And the storm stopped. Even the storm listened to Jesus' voice. Wabo wanted access to that kind of power, to be protected by this Son of the Creator. So Wabo put his faith, his trust in Jesus, and began to believe in God. And now Wabo is no longer afraid to go to the jungle by himself at night at any time. Now Wabo knows that all good things come from God. And because of his faith, his belief in Jesus, and Jesus' death on the cross, Wabo knows that even though bad things will happen in this world, that God protects him, and he's in God's family, taken care of, and he has life eternal that will never die. Wabo's life has been completely changed by hearing the story about Jesus. How can you pray for people in our region, in Papua New Guinea and in Oceania? In many places in Papua New Guinea and other countries, there are still lots of tribes, lots of villages that have never even heard Jesus' name. They're isolated. They live way out in the jungle. It's hard to get to them. To get to our tribe of Wabaku, we have to take a plane for an hour and a half flying over nothing but jungle. Then we have to jump into a canoe and go 3 hours upriver until we reach our village. It's hard to get to these places. These people have never heard about Jesus, so pray for them that the Lord would send people to go tell them about Jesus, to go tell them all of God's story, to share the Bible with them, so that they too can become like Wabo and no longer have to be afraid of these evil spirits that they're afraid will attack them. Pray for the people of Oceania that they will learn to follow Jesus' footsteps. They will learn to read the Bible for themselves, understand it, so that they can follow Jesus more closely. Thanks for listening.